What is
Another
this?
podcast. So many in a row that we have done.
What? I'm not even familiar. What are we doing? It's recording our words, our
People
thoughts.
aren't going to recognize this because you have a fancy new podcast microphone, and so they'll be like, "What is this? Is this the scratchy guy?"
Are you hearing me? This is the new thing we do where we do an audio check at the beginning of our episode. Oh,
Check
actually, it's
complete.
the stupid thing is recording with my MacBook mic, so I'm gonna change it.
Oh, really? You sounded good. Maybe it's just it's a. Oh, now you can't hear anything. Now you sound bad because you still can't hear anything. Oh, now you sound very quiet.
How about now?
Still quiet.
Jeez, that's not good. Do I need to eat the mic?
Maybe. It's weird. This doesn't sound as good as the other one.
Hold on. How about now?
It's getting better, yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Better. Warmer.
Warmer or it sounds good?
Sorry, no, gooder.
Audio.
More improved.
Jeez, I've just had to turn the mic volume way up from previous
You're still not as loud as Mac mic volume.
How about now?
Yeah. That's probably good.
Now I'm good. Are you sure? This is going to be hilarious to listen to.
I wonder maybe even a little bit higher because it will be bad. I can't hear me and you can't hear you. So we both have to describe what we think the other one's loudness might be so that we can sound like this is a conversation.
Okay, well, I've turned it almost all the way up, so hopefully this is good enough.
Word.
And
we'll see. I wonder if mine's probably on Mac stupid thing anyway too.
I'm not.
Yep. Look at.
How come we've never played with the background music?
Test 1 2.
You sound beautiful.
Now do I sound any different? I just changed my mic.
I wasn't paying attention to the before and after.
You didn't hear a word. Wow. Where do you get background music from?
If you go into the brand section, there's a bunch of shitty.
I like this. It really fits with your Zen and the Art of Inconsistent League form.
Yeah, that's
welcome.
The name of the episode.
This is Schuyler's new hand job spa that he's opening. Get yourself undressed.
Welcome to Sensations. That's what we'll call it.
Put on the little single-use underwear that's made out of recycled socks from the single-use try-on socks bin at Payless Shoe Source.
Would you like to try some of our lemon water that's actually just Poland Spring with some of the lemon-flavored stevia poured into it?
Absolutely. You know what I do like at a spa is when they just have that big old jug that they probably never clean of just cucumbers and orange slices and lemons, and it's by that, you know what I really like actually is when they do it in a hotel lobby and everyone has gotten water as soon as they came in the hotel, and so by the end it's just this weird it's somewhere between lemonade and an old fashioned, and it's just sitting in a lukewarm jug at a Marriott. I enjoy that.
Wait, so you like that? This thing
you
made me almost throw up on my microphone.
Yeah, that's good for me. Where it's like half watered down juice and then a little bit ice that tastes like chlorine from the pool.
It feels like you're doing a bit where you're just someone who's reminiscing about something, trying to relate with another person, and it's something that nobody does. You ever go to for a massage and then they just put Kit Kats on your chest and on your belly button and
wait
it starts to melt and then start rubbing it around.
That would be a better bit than the bit that I was doing, I guess. I don't even sure if it counts as a bit. But you don't get all those references? You didn't know what I mean by the single-use panties that they give you at the massage place?
I mean, I get it from having gone to therapeutic massage and Thai massage places, but not really I didn't know if that was.
I think we gotta cut out this this music now because they're dropping 80. Do you hear they're adding 808s, or is that my neighbors? I have neighbors in town. I think they literally just come to London for the holidays and they own an apartment here, and then they come to London from December 23rd through like the first week of January and scream. All they do is yell.
In British?
I don't know. It's like they're not even yelling words. It's just emotions. They're like, "Rah!"
So Italian.
Yeah. I was guessing Russian actually.
Okay, well,
So Albanian, which is the mix of Russian and Italian.
do you listen to the Stavros podcast, right?
I do.
So when you went for Albanian, was that like a reference to his best friend?
The eldest.
Eldest, yeah.
I mean, I probably have Albania on my mind a lot more than I would without him. But to be fair, I visited Albania before I'd ever even heard of a Stavros or an Elvis, and I think it's a lovely place, unlike Stavros Halkias.
I wish that I didn't have to name the podcast episode in advance, because this one would definitely be called Albania on My Mind.
I got Albania on my mind.
What is on your mind, Jeff?
I think we really do have to kill this music now.
You know, like, it feels like we're in like a JRPG and we just went to the mall on a regular day.
I'm just over here stalling before I give you the bad news to say that your audio is still fucked. You should go back to the. It's like worse now. I don't know why.
How could this be? This is
I
an
don't know.
expensive microphone. All right, hold on. I actually have a sound box. Let me see if I can turn that up. Just talk for a minute.
I'll start talking. What should I talk? Oh, you know what I'll talk about? I'll vamp on this. So last night I attended not a football match, but a football show, a West End show called Dear England. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't. Do I sound better?
Now you sound good. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I just turned up. I have like a mechanical box.
Oh
It's
shit.
gonna be great visual for the pod, but it's
I
like
can't see shit.
it's like what? It's like a mixing box thing.
Noise.
Whatever.
All of this is gonna happen offline next time. But to be fair, we haven't done this podcast since 1921, so this is all new to us.
It was the Carter administration.
It was a
time we
simpler
did this.
time. It was a stagflation-y time.
Stagflation?
Hey, you don't remember stagflation from economics class?
I never took
key.
economics class.
Oh wow, I took weirdly a lot of economics class, but stagflation not fun. That's not what you want for your economy at all.
Is it? By the way, do I sound okay? You promise?
Now you sound good.
How much of this podcast am I going to be really angry about?
The first 7 minutes approximately.
Why didn't you speak up earlier?
I did kind of. We did. It's literally the only reason anything changed.
All right, we should just cut. We should just cut everything and say, "All right, well, hey," and start from here.
Nice.
All right. There's been a lot of footy that's happened in the last seems like 5 weeks since we last did a podcast.
Yep. A lot. So much actually. I looked at this and I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself as always, but United only have 3 games in like until February 1st. So like this month you guys have 3 more matches, whereas like I feel like every English team has just played about 20 matches in between Christmas and New Year somehow.
Well,
Strange times.
It helps if you've been knocked out of all of the other additional tournaments and cups. Smooth
Like a
sailing.
fox. Like a fox.
So basically, if you've listened to this podcast before, the theme is Jeff expressing some version of happiness, muted or potent happiness, and then me basically going full like Rodney Dangerfield meets Larry David meets Lydia from Beetlejuice, all about how United have been utter shit, and today will be no different than that. But the most interesting news that I think we should start with, because it kind of frames everything up, is that in the time since we've last potted, United have announced that the Glazer family has sold 25% of their holdings, and as well the rest of the people that own shares in Manchester United have sold 25% of their holdings to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and Ineos. So the title on the marquee says Ineos, not Audios, and that
Very
was
clever,
not.
dude. Congratulations.
It wasn't that good, but it's what I had in that moment. But so what does this mean? Well, we wanted the Glazers to be ousted entirely. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But what is
Yeah, sorry,
happening?
not to cut you off, but like the math that you just said there. So the Glazers still have 75% of what they used to own.
Oh yeah, of what they used to own, which was 60 something percent of the entirety of United.
Oh
So
wow.
so now they have like
So they're
40.
still like the majority
They're
owners in a
still a
way.
majority owner, but also so I'll go through sort of my bastardized version of my
Sure.
understanding of this deal, but it's like 1 point something, 1.2 billion pounds for 25%. Uh, but there's also 300 million or so that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is investing into the structure of the company that is Manchester United. That could be money that goes towards making very much needed Old Trafford repairs,
Yeah.
and other
Doesn't
stuff.
that also have like a FFP twist, if I remember correctly, where it's like a
I
no?
mean, but I don't think this money helps us FFP wise for transfers. But
Okay.
regardless, what's unusual about this is that Sir Jim and Ineos are minority owners, but yet they negotiated in the deal to take over all football administration from the Glazer family. So basically, just how it's going to work from now on, because this is now what the deal that has been agreed on. The Glazers are on the board as they've been, but now Sir Jim has two other people that are representing him on the board. I think it's Sir Dave Brailsford and Jean Claude Blanc. I'm getting that wrong,
That's
but
clearly a fake French name.
no, it's real. He used to be the boss at Juventus and PSG, two clubs that have never
I've
had
heard of
any
them.
question of ill repute or poor.
Yeah, yeah. Good bookkeeping. That's what they're
Yeah,
known for, right?
but basically, and then there will be this board that sort of sets the budget for the year. And once the Glazers agree to a budget, which will be like X dollars plus however much money you bring in sales, that will be the transfer budget and the wage budget for the year. As soon
Wow.
as that is set, there is no more Glazer involvement or approval in who gets brought in or who gets shipped out. Which, we still have Anthony Martial on this team because Joel Glazer really liked him. Was like a
Yeah.
real fan of Anthony Martial, so he's here like 4 years past his expiration date.
This sounds so succession-y, where it's like they
It
haven't
is.
quite made a decision. They've just set up another season of bickering. Like,
But no, but so it's that's not the case. So like we will be making more prudent football decisions because football people are being brought in as we speak. Like
oh yeah,
the fact that this Jean Claude Blanc guy is replacing. I always get Murtaugh confused with the other guy. The guy
oh
who
no, I think that this is an improvement. Clearly, like you've brought in Juventus's head money launderer, but like that just shows how bad it was before.
right.
Like
But then the next step is to bring in multiple people in in the
ah,
football hierarchy. Like we're talking to not only the current head of Newcastle, which is Dave Ashworth. Is that his name? I always get certain white
yes.
guy names.
Well, I was gonna say Ashworth for sure, but
Yeah, so but he's only been at Newcastle for like a year and a few months, perhaps. But he's the one who built out Brighton from the ground up, and is the reason that they suddenly were like an identifying talent factory. And already you've seen Newcastle's made mostly good purchases, like their Bruno
yeah.
Guimaraes and their Isaks are like paying off.
Wait, is that definitely happening? Is that a rumor you're getting him?
That's a rumor. But
Oh, okay.
that's the type of person that's being brought in that role for the entire time that I've been a Manchester United fan. Like basically, once David Gill left, it's been Glazer, banker, stool pigeon has had that role ever since. So like the fact that actual football people that will be making decisions of like when to get rid of talent, when to sell youth prospects to get to maximize the income stream from that. Uh, how to have a better scouting network to identify talent when they're younger and cheaper versus waiting until we're paying 80 million pounds for a 25 million pound player. Like talent identifying, having a singular philosophy, so that each new manager that would come in is a similar type of manager that will
Yeah.
appreciate the pool of players that they already have. Like I could keep rambling on about this, but like we've had to do without that. It's just been fire hose of our own income being thrown at problems, not like thoughtful solutions. So this will take a few years, but ideally, this is the end of us being like a joke with how we do business.
I mean, all of that does sound like a huge improvement, but there isn't any part of you that worries. Like, if to me, it almost has the feeling of like a coalition government. Like on some level, like I don't know anything about corporate law or whatever, but it just seems like there's going to be a way for the Glazers to keep fucking you. Basically, you don't think so?
No, no. So at this point, it's I think it's pretty easily explained why they didn't sell fully to Qatar, who I think technically placed a richer bid
Hmm.
than what Sir Jim's is like prorated as, but basically it was the oh, maybe there's gonna be a Super League that we're still gonna do, and if
Oh.
we still own a big chunk of Manchester United when that comes in and a billion in profit comes in, we're gonna get a big chunk of that.
Oh
So
wow.
I think that they're trying to linger around for that. It was either Qatar blows us out of the water with something that's exponents more than the club's valued, or we linger just long enough to get that Super League money, or Sir Jim, like if they think that the club will continue to appreciate and value, then Sir Jim will have to pay even more to buy the rest of it. There are clauses in this deal that basically say if somebody else comes in at a later date and offers a lot of money for the whole thing, Sir Jim has to sell his minority shares at that rate. So like if Qatar comes in I think it's like in the next 3 years, it may be
Okay.
like no sooner than a year or so from now, a year and a half from now, but like up to like 3 or so years from now, Qatar could basically come in and say, we'll pay a billion more than the certain gym rate, and the Glazers can go, okay, and the contract basically already autopilots. So like somebody
Interesting.
else, like Qatar could own this club in 2 years, which is kind of a really crazy loophole to notice. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say I like, which is so funny because I feel like they basically almost just did that bid, which is insane. But okay. I mean, I really like when I say that it's successiony, I mean it in the most complimentary terms, at least in terms of my entertainment, where
you think it's
I
all
would
good?
love like the Amazon all or nothing of just behind the scenes. Like hopefully there'd be as little footage of Manchester United playing football as possible in the show. But hey, zing.
Agreed.
Watch out.
At
Zing,
this moment.
zing.
All right, but like that's kind of crazy, right? Because I don't know if it will change my sad post-match reactions for the rest of this podcasting season, but
Yeah.
like we might start to see players leave that I thought we were stuck with forever. We may start to see interesting decisions being made that you or I would make, but that we wouldn't
Mm.
expect United to make with any form of competency.
Speaking of interesting decisions vis-a-vis who's going in and out, how do you think this affects Eric Ten Hag and his role at the club?
If anything, I almost would rather answer this question after we fight our way through the match reactions because the reason why I will answer this question the way I answered is predicated upon sort of how the last four matches have gone, which has been all over the place.
Yeah. All
So,
over the place.
so
All
you,
right.
if you don't mind, can we
Let's
park it?
nickel back. Yeah, yeah.
So you've got two tickers here. Big points at Liverpool and Aston Villa. Big disgusting losses at West Ham and Forest. And if those were really clustered together like that, you'd think, oh, United had a purple patch of good form and then a bad patch of form. But
Right.
instead, it started with the draw at Liverpool, which was maybe like going to be the next
Was
match.
it at Anfield or was that at Old Trafford?
It was at Anfield.
Wow. Okay.
Because I don't think we'd gotten even a point there. I don't think we'd scored a goal. We'd scored one goal there in 12 matches. Something
Yikes.
insane. Um, but we got a draw against Liverpool where they took 34 shots to like our 8 shots or something like that. But yet they didn't really have any compelling chances where you're like, how did they not score? Like they were taking lots of long shots. Onana made a few saves, but like an average number of saves. So those 34 shots were like not efficient at all, and they really labored. Admittedly, United we played a lot of defenders. We sat back and tried to counterattack, and we had one or two chances to actually win that game. Like Garnacho had a counterattack breakaway where you can't understand how he didn't score.
Wow.
So so it would have been really unfair for us to beat Liverpool that day, but it could have happened. But we got a draw, which I thought we would lose 5-0. I'm guessing you thought something similar, a
I
multi-goal.
mean, Liverpool's looking pretty good, but yeah, I wasn't. Yeah.
And then we were down 2-0 a few like a week later against Aston Villa. Uh, and Aston Villa at that point was tied for first on points
Yeah.
in the league. And they went up 2-0.
Also looking really scarily good in an annoying way right now.
Yeah, they've made a lot of competent decisions. Like they don't have the insane depth of any of the other big clubs that are at the top, but like their best healthy 11 is really good and has been coming
Unai
into
Emery.
their prime. Yeah, and Unai Emery is like one of those annoying managers. It's not like the best manager ever, but he can still fucking do you.
Yeah.
Um, but we came back and scored 3 second half goals, and it was exciting. It was an exciting match. Like it was the best match involving my club that's happened all season. Uh, and that was great. And I was feeling like pretty all right. But then, sort of wedged in between there, was a
Yeah,
2
again, it sounds like there's a trajectory for these of up and down, but it's not. It was up, down, up,
general.
down.
Yeah, it's like sex. Except
But
I'm
not in
like
a good
getting
way.
fucked every week.
Oh,
Hickory dickory dock. All right, so
in
they
this
just
metaphor, you'd be going up, down, up, down. I'm
great.
just saying.
Well, that's what it's like
It's even
watching.
worse. Yeah,
Yeah,
that means like your thighs are burning too.
don't slut shame me. Um, so we lost 2-0 to David Moyes' West Ham, who you've got to admit are in the top 6.
Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing is like what to make of them because they are another team that's like annoyingly a little bit too good.
Well, they were nearly relegated not too long ago,
Yeah.
and they haven't changed that many of their core players, and they've lost to Declan Rice in that time.
Yeah, I mean they were nearly relegated like last year.
And then, so yeah, we lost to them 2-0, and that sucked. And I was like, okay, I'm right back here in my feelings again.
Hmm.
And the reason I named this episode Zen and the Art of Inconsistent League Form, Jeff, is that it's honestly teaching me something. Like how frustrating and awful United have been this season is teaching, like, I'm very emotionally involved in watching these matches. It'll ruin my week or make my week. Like it's either plus 15% or minus 50% for how I feel. And this has been teaching me that I can't be like that because otherwise, like I'd be on suicide watch this year for how much I'm starting a Monday like feeling depressed. I have to like be like it's just football. Like I'm needing to divorce myself a little bit from how much I love this sport because it is fucking painful sometimes. It truly is.
I mean, what are you actually feeling at the beginning of a match right now?
Like I'm going like here we go. Like
You're gonna. Is it excitement or is it like just
oh,
like
it's like running across the highway. Feel like imagine you're running from one side of the highway to the other side on foot as traffic's going by. Like there's a chance that you might make it and you'll feel like this
yeah,
rush of adrenaline and endorphins. And there's a chance you're getting hit by a fucking scion
pretty good chance.
or multiple scions.
That would be what's the most insulting car to have end your life? Because I think one of those
Jetta.
giant square scions is up there. A Jetta, Jetta is, yeah, it's like, it's sort of nice.
What if
It's,
it's a Prius with the old school lift mustache on the hood that was like the
oh yeah,
like the hood
anything
ornament that
anything with the
rusted?
mustache, where like when you die, they're like getting traces of that pink hair out of your beard and shit. That would be tough.
What about just a regular old fashioned ice cream truck hitting you on the highway?
Honestly, I would put that top. Like that's like one of the best ones.
Stop.
Cause that like that thing is full of dairy. Like that is literally getting hit by a milk truck. Like you're gonna be dead quickly, and it's gonna be kind of hilarious in a good way. Like at your funeral, there'll be a picture of you like
But also, I'm normally full of dairy, so won't that have like more of like a multiplier effect
oh
uh,
yeah,
for
physics
the
wise, you're
collision?
right.
It's like
Yeah.
cheese hitting cheese. Like it'll just all explode.
When cheese hits cheese, famous thing that happens.
Cut to like Billy Crystal as one cheese and like Meg Ryan as the other cheese.
Just sitting on a couch.
I'll have what cheese having.
Oh, next topic.
I hate me.
So
All right,
anyway,
you
after these
did
up and
Jets.
down results.
Oh yeah, we didn't even say the Forest. We lost two
Oh
one to
right.
Forest, and that was fucking trash because Morgan Gibbs White, who is doing his best, pissing me off with his face attempt right now, but like he scored the winner. Uh, he should have been sent off for the exact thing that Diogo Dalot got sent off for during the Liverpool match. Was Dalot walked up to the ref and yelled about the fact that they gave a throw in the wrong way, which replays showed Dalot was right to be mad. But the new policy is any dissent to the ref turns into an instant yellow as a way to be like, don't come bitch at me, like don't scream at me, don't threaten the ref, don't try to influence the outcome. It's an instant yellow. But that particular ref decided that Dallo had mouthed off enough that he deserved 2 yellows in 5 seconds,
Oh
and sent him
wow.
off immediately. And we were lucky it happened towards the very end of the match, or we could have lost to Liverpool. It was like only 6 or so minutes we had to play a man down. But
That's
then
insane. I didn't see
Morgan
that.
Gibbs White, 2 consecutive yellow card worthy challenges, kicks the ball away, and then screams in the referee's face, gets 1 yellow, stays on the field, scores the winner.
Wow.
So, like, I bitch about the inconsistency, and I feel like you'd hear it from a number of other
Sure.
soccer podcasts and journalists, but like, just different fucking rules every week. You really don't know. It's like an original Bible where it's like however they interpret it is what God's word was, and it's very frustrating to not know what the rules are because they change.
Yeah, that's fucking very frustrating. Very weak.
Have you had anything like that where you haven't any players sent off for some bullshit? Have you?
Well, it's interesting you say that because that did give me it triggered me. I want to say this is either one or maybe 2 seasons ago. Martinelli got 2 yellow cards in the span of like 30 seconds and was gone. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, even if you can't argue with both, like they're both sort of yellow cards, but it's like, isn't that just like in the liner notes of the referee handbook that like you don't give 2 yellow cards immediately unless the guy really, really fucking deserves it? Like if you didn't call your mom a whore, let it go, you know?
I heard someone using the idealistic version of the cops as a way to explain like the referee's role should be keeping 22 players on the field. Like their job is to try and police the match in a way that keeps
Hmm.
everyone playing does not so that the product can be good. You
This
don't
person doesn't seem to know a lot about cops.
no, but then that's the same way the cops are supposed to serve and protect.
Sure.
They're here to try and keep us all out of jail and all out of a grave. Like that's really what they should be here for. When really they're like a hangover for like recovering slave owners, slaves. Like that's why we actually have cops. But like what we talk about is serve and protect, and the officials in a match should be here to protect the player's health on the
Yeah.
pitch and the quality of the product. Like it, how we should be here to have a good match. That's why sometimes it's better when a ref doesn't call every tiny little itsy bitsy foul because then that turns into a very staccato start stop
Right.
match. You want to let the game sort of go a little bit, but try and protect everybody.
Yeah. This is a game of constant gray areas.
But with the 2 yellows for 1 dissent, that to me, and I'm probably parroting Mark Goldbridge on this, but like it's like, how dare you talk back to me? I'm sending you off the pitch as a punishment for daring to like
Yeah.
it crosses a line into I'm the ref, I'm the king.
There's a like I kind of feel about referees. Yeah, in a way, if I was to draw an analogy to another authority figure, it's almost like a parent, where like it really shouldn't be about vindictiveness. Like there are times where you just have to be right as a parent. You're like, I'm sorry, you do have to eat vegetables. Like I know it sucks. I actually don't like vegetables all that much myself. I wish we could just eat KFC and McDonald's every day. Not that I've had this conversation recently or every day of my life, but but you know what I mean? Like there are some things that you just said like, but if you get to that point of vindictiveness as a ref, then it's like to me that is something that belongs in the the match officials official write up of the match or whatever. Like it's like yeah, you fucked that up. Like you got angry. Like you need to chill, bro.
I agree with you, Jeff, but your visual of bringing this to like being a parent, you need to start a social media account where you post on Instagram anytime that your kids act up, you have a yellow and a red card in your pocket. And the yellow card is like something that's like mildly annoying as a punishment, and a red card is like you're grounded. But like you just start filming, and then
It's funny.
you basically do like referee arm gestures, and then you announce what the foul is for, and then you just record all of them and post them.
Oh
Please do
man.
this. It would not be that much out of your way for you to turn into a social media sensation.
All I would have to do is sacrifice the mental health of my children, which is, let's
Uh,
be honest. I mean, how much
dude,
of it could they possibly have left at this point?
there's gonna be some Oedipus. Like the two of them are gonna combine to kill you at some point. They're too smart. They're too capable.
They're
You
very
better
smart.
start undermining them right now.
I can't remember if I've told you this yet, but Lucy, they're very smart and they're very smart in different ways where I feel like they could like if they team up, they could basically equal a human or a human. They already a human. They could equal an adult.
Oh,
They are human. God damn it. No one can prove otherwise. But the other day, Lucy, she has such a little like strategy math brain, and she saw me playing Diablo. Shout out to Diablo that we play occasionally. Maybe if people on Twitch commented they'd like to see us play that, maybe we would like do a Twitch stream one day of us just
that
playing Diablo.
one person that always watches would come.
It would make their fucking life. Um, but I was gonna say, so I'm playing the game, and if you've ever played it, you get like a series of cool moves that you can kill monsters with, and some of them you get to do all the time, and those ones are not like that powerful. And then there are other ones that you only get to do maybe once every 30 seconds or every 45 seconds or something. And Lucy didn't really know any of this, but she intuited it and she was watching. And then right as like the counter clicked down, she was like, triangle, that triangle. And I was like, wow, she knows. And she was correct. I don't know. She's got like such a little head for numbers, whereas the other one is like, I don't know, very creative, very, I don't know, soft skills.
That's great because I know that you're someone who needs a Diablo caddy. So
Yeah.
I would always have to be like Jeff Potion. I'd have to.
Yeah, don't die. Dude, there was so much of that I literally didn't understand any of the game when you were here. Now I'm much better.
Now you're a master.
I beat Lilith single hand the other day.
You did.
Yeah. And now I finally 2 months into the season, I have unlocked like the first little bit of the seasonal content.
Jeff, you're in the end game. I'm so proud of you.
I know, and then it starts over again in like a week.
Isn't that just a metaphor for life though, and like living in hell? Like Diablo's really taught me a lot, I think.
I did read a really cool book about video game designers, and it's fiction, but like they get into like philosophy of video games, and that was one of the points that it made that I thought was like, ooh, that's a pretty good point. It's like the first thing that any video game does, immortality. Like, how many lives do I get? Can I get infinite lives? You know, like, man, something deep about that, isn't there?
It's like we as people don't want to die.
Yeah, it's almost like death would kind of suck a little bit, or like that it would hurt when it happens to other people that you like.
Well, Jeff, post like New Year's Eve, I've been on this, oh my God, time is just slipping away kick. So you're definitely feeding that right now. And I'm having
Fucking
a
hell.
panic attack live on the air, on the airwaves.
Don't worry, we can't hear anything you've said this entire podcast. Your mic is off.
Don't say that. Jesus
Oh.
Christ, man. I'm like already. All right, you had asked earlier, the question you wanted me to answer
Yeah.
earlier this fucking episode was ETH out? Even with Casemiro and Martinez almost back? So Jeff's trying to get me to betray to Judas Iscariot, the manager of my club, Eric Ten Hag. Do I want to fire Ten Hag? I don't see the point to firing him right now because I don't think there's any manager available that could swoop in and get us to Champions League level league finish, which is the only thing that's really left to play for. And you bring in a new manager that's not Eric Ten Hag, and then they look at the team and they're like, wow, these are a bunch of Eric Ten Hag players. It's the same rinse and repeat cycle we've done for many years. You might as well just let them finish the season. Who gives a shit? Like, we won't be able to do any transfers until the summer. So like why
Yeah.
who cares where you finish? If anything, just play the kids. Play the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, give them starts. Let them show if they're good enough or not. And if they're not good enough, sell them.
Well, that would be the kind of thing that a caretaker manager might do.
But I think that this season's fucked, and his mandate should be like, we're not going to fire you. Just like try to coach up these younger players, mold them into what we need if they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Instead of playing like McTominay because you're trying to sneak a 1-0 win because winning's all that matters. I think development should be all that matters for the rest of the season.
I mean, that makes sense. That does make me wonder in the new financial agreement, how key is the revenue year on year? Whereas like, are they, I guess from what you described earlier, it sounds like they're going to need to make as much money as they possibly can with Champions League revenue and whatnot, because otherwise they don't get that stipulated budget from the Glazers.
No, you're right. But like,
Fuck it.
shit. There's a lot
Yeah.
of good teams.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a legit answer is you're right, but fuck it. Cause like also you're not going to win the Champions League or anything else until you have a bunch of talent come through the pipeline.
And we can't spend now. So it should be about between now and the end of next summer, figuring out who you could get 10, 15, 20 million pounds for. Start trying and having more competent people, hopefully trying to do those outgoing sales, because we've clearly never, in this whole time the Glazers have been here, since David Gill left, we've had nobody competent selling players. Like we're always getting fucked. We buy a player for 75 and sell him for 17. Like that's where we're at, and we need to just try and get an extra couple million here, an extra couple million there, and stockpile that for the summer. But yeah, so in the short term, if you have these younger players and you give them Premier League starts, does that not drive their value up for then selling it to a slightly shittier club later?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly, because there is a certain fundraising aspect of that.
We took 10 million, I think, or maybe even slightly less for James Garner, who was our prospect central defensive midfielder that we sold to Everton because he really didn't have any Premier League experience, for us at least. If we had played him 20 times, I bet you we could have gotten double or triple that amount of money.
Mm.
You know, so just play the youth, leave Ten Hag alone for now. Like, am I in love with him like I was last season? No. The honeymoon is over, but like I don't think action just to act right now would improve anything. I think they need to spend a few months like analyzing everything that's fucking wrong with the club and then drop a plan and then just start executing that plan. I don't think the manager right now is actually the most important thing to worry about. Director of football. Get that philosophy baked in. This is the direction we're going in from now on. This is someone who has replicated that success at multiple big clubs. So we're just going to trust. We're going to trust this is the person we're going to trust instead of letting our football coach do all of the transfer selection. All right, Jeff, I'm sorry. I feel like we've talked about United most of this 40 minutes, but bye-bye Sancho. Jadon Sancho It has not been confirmed yet, but the latest leaks and rumors are that Jadon Sancho is going to go on a short-term loan to Dortmund, back where he last had any success. But also, like, all I've heard is that like Dortmund and City both had huge fucking issues with him being on time and discipline and trying his hardest at practice. And like, I'm kind of surprised they want him back for a loan. Like, how is that
They've
even
never done that before. Like all those young players they've sold that end up like kind of shitting the bed elsewhere. Like Pulisic didn't go back, Aubameyang didn't go back. I mean, all those players.
Chicago might have gone back.
Oh, maybe. Okay. And by never, I mean never that I could immediately recall with my alcohol and drug-addled
Both
brain.
examples are Manchester United transfers that did not work out and that Dortmund are getting back for free or for next to nothing.
Yeah.
So they are. I kind of am now convinced that Dortmund and Ajax are like the biggest fucking scammers because everything is crap.
I think I think that this is the last chance saloon for him. I mean, he's such an exciting player, and I thought you guys were so lucky when you got him. And to be fair, the whole time he's been at United, it's been a shit show. It hasn't been like it's just his fault, but he hasn't helped much.
But when your discipline is the main issue, like there's a lot of players who haven't performed, but they're showing up to practice on time and they're
Yeah.
they're doing the bare minimum to show that they feel grateful to be employed on mega million contracts, and he hasn't. And I kind of think he's like a little bit of a shithead now, based on just his like childlike petulance. So
There's such a thin line between because you do need a little bit of a childlike personality to be good at this game, I think.
do you?
But
There have been a lot of very responsible people to play the game and play it well.
not at forward.
But he's not a forward. He's a wing. That doesn't matter. Being a goal scorer doesn't mean you get to be a twat whenever you want. Like you
I
really
feel
have
like
to
it
back up.
does.
Not if you don't score goals, Jeff. Not if you don't make assists.
Yeah. No, you have to back it up for sure.
But
For sure.
he's paid like 250, whatever it is, 300 something grand a week to do nothing and then be a dick. Okay, buddy. Bye. You've lost your fans.
Man, I kind of almost want him to come to Arsenal though.
I want him to come to Arsenal too. Let him infect your watering hole. All right, Jeff. This is now switched into the Arsenal.
Now back to the good part. Now, all right. Arsenal, we have had quite a little holiday period. We went into Christmas after a similarly hard-won point away at Anfield. And we were, but not so similar to United. We were in first place. We were top of the table, as they say, at the table. And pretty much immediately shit the bed from there. The curse. Do you believe in that curse of the top of the table at Christmas curse?
What? Like you're doing well, so you're gonna get ahead of yourself and fuck it up?
It's supposedly like a Madden curse, like a Sports Illustrated cover thing. Like it's like a well-known thing. It happened for us last year for sure. I do think there's something to if you're like it's like on the game show Survivor where like if you're the team that has the target on your back, you better fucking be 100-point non-injured De Bruyne City. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, doesn't it make sense for like? Sorry, I turned music on a few minutes.
Yeah, I hear it. I don't know why. I was like, I'm waiting for it to make sense at all.
Fair enough. Well, if you've ever done any like long distance race, there is something to that. Like you're almost setting the pace by leading the pack, but that allows someone to get angry who's 100 feet behind you and like power past you because you don't know you need to be running faster than you're running.
Right.
And maybe that is the case, but like. I don't know. I think you just rather have the points in the bag. I think you'd rather be in first place. Like how someone says a 2-0 lead is the most dangerous lead in football.
Right. Like no, it's not.
Yeah, but I'd love to be 2-0 up, I guess, is the place.
Yeah.
2-0 up than 2-0 down. Right where I want them.
Yeah. Checkmate again from your friend Eric Ten Hag.
Placing their gun to my temple. I've got the suspect. So I don't know, man. I think that you're still in the hunt because nobody's been the clear runaway. Like it's really just
Yeah.
Liverpool have been difficult to defeat, and that's about it. Like, but maybe over the next few weeks, Salahless Liverpool might stumble. It would behoove Arsenal to get maximum points over the January fixture list.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of insane for that because we have both. I mean, we're gonna get into this in more detail later, but like the Asia and AFCON like spit roasts that we're going for this season in the Premier League, like that's gonna definitely have an effect.
Thank God
Um,
Arsenal is so racist though that none of their players are from either of those confederations, right? It's just all
ours?
yeah, it's just all Brexit. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was hoping you just
Arsenal is a fully team of all English blokes.
that's what they're known as. Going back to their former captain in the 80s?
Do you remember the British core? It was like kind of at the height of the Arsene Wenger fucking up phase, where it was like all it was basically just like we did have, to be fair, there's like a bunch of like good academy guys, and some of them were not even academy guys, they're just British, but like it was like Walcott, Ramsey, Wilshire, and like I think I think and but like there were other guys that were like tacked on, like Carl Jenkinson, who like maybe weren't the same pedigree, but they were all in there. And Wenger said, like, basically, you're welcome. I just gave you the England team for the next 10 years. And I was like, I don't know if that worked.
But I look at your current team, Jeff, and I'm thinking about all the players that do damage for you, and they're like none of them are from Asia or from Africa. They are from South America and Europe. So like
Most part,
I look at Spurs and I look at Liverpool and I'm like they're losing their like
yeah,
talismans to both of these tournaments. So like I was kidding about the Brexit shit, but like you're well positioned to avoid any of the blowback from this. But this is, and I'm not trying to take away from your eventual roster conversation, but like Arsenal first at Christmas, fourth at New Year's. Who cares, man? You're only a few points behind.
yeah. And I do think like ultimately the results go up and down. The one that's concerning to me is the Fulham one, because the Fulham one, Arteta basically that was the one like right by New Year's, and Arteta said like that's our worst performance of the year. It's bad. And then that coming off the back of West Ham, where that felt a lot more like one of those games. Like sometimes you're just going to go to play a team, you're going to take 30 shots, and they're not going to go in. But it's like overall, you're still functioning as a football team. You just didn't finish. And like, there's a little bit of luck in that, I think. That one I could stomach. The Fulham one looked a little weak. And you do every now and then you just look like at a guy like, say, Saka or whatever, and you'd think, like, fuck, maybe that guy's tired after carrying this team for several years.
Or he's having his, and it's probably not even a fully sophomore slump, but it feels like a sophomore slump where when you come up as a young phenom and you perform so well, and then you give other clubs enough data to like scout you out and figure out maybe a way to neutralize you, and then you've got to reinvent yourself, or you've got to add new tricks, or you've got to like evolve. And a lot of the best players do that, but like he's maybe just having kind of a tough season, and I sound like a broken record, but we still don't know the knock-on effect of like the World Cup and
Yeah.
like just the non-stop nature of all of this, of all the
Yep.
football that has been forced down our throats by late-stage capitalism. So
And guess what? We got, not only do we have the AFCON and Asian Cup of Nations, but we have the Euro coming up just in a few short months.
and then when is the Club World Cup? Is that this year or the year after?
I think that's also this year, although I don't know if Arsenal are even involved in that,
We
thankfully.
should just have like one day where it's just like football burials and it's just all the people that die playing football from all the football, and we could just like
Watch out,
celebrate
Jaden Sancho.
like a dying 11. I think you name your all dead team.
What was that song they would always play at the Oscars? Oh, fuck. You know what I'm talking about when they do the montage of all the dead people?
I can't remember, but I it's like in memoriam, but I can't remember like the what.
Through the years. That one.
I did not see. I don't think I saw the defeat. Oh, I might have seen half of the Fulham game. I think I saw the first half. what was missing? Like, what's broken? Was it? It wasn't chance creation. It sounds like.
I mean, I think the Fulham one they basically just battened down the hatches, but the Fulham one we weren't creating chances. Like I think from the 67th minute on, we didn't even have a touch in their box, which is pretty fucking weak. Um, Whereas I think the West Ham one, it was just like we just didn't shoot. Like if we'd put it in the back of the net, it would have been fine.
Was it a Raul Jimenez? Raul Jimenez?
Yes, Jimenez probably.
So, Hector and Julio, friends of the pod, GFOPs.
GFOPs.
Basically, Hector. We're on a text thread, and Hector, as you know from his visit to the pod, big Arsenal fan, was very upset that Mexico national team hero was the reason that Arsenal took home no points. He was pretty devastated by that. So
Yeah, tough one.
a shout out. Sorry, buddy.
That does suck.
We
Yeah.
fix it.
I feel like I totally wasted this thread when we were talking about this a minute ago, but the OGs of XG underperformance. Not even that good, actually, now that I say it. Probably wasn't worth reading aloud.
You should just measure OG as like a little O and a G, and then it has a number associated with it, like how OG you are.
Yeah, it's measured in snoops.
It's measured in snoops. It should just be the year that you started being the OG. It should be like, oh, your OG number is 53.
I like that.
OG since 53.
Damn, he's been OG since 53. I don't even know if I would have an OG number yet. I think I'd still be like probably not even G.
2010.
Well,
so what? So Arsenal creating a lot of chances but not finishing them? Because I thought you guys scored a lot of goals.
So we do, but I have looked, and let's see. I was gonna actually sort of give you like a little mini quiz here, but then I accidentally sent you the answers. But you probably don't have them pulled up. But I was gonna say, in terms of the XG numbers, who do you think is most underperforming out of the top 5?
The good news is when you sent me that diagram and I couldn't fucking read it. I was like, I don't understand what any of these things are saying. But I think I remember City, Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Yeah, so right now, Liverpool, Aston Villa, City, Arsenal, Tottenham are sort of like the top 5 in there based on XG. But essentially, we're like the only one out of those that are underperforming. We're like, we ought to be scoring more than we are. So I think ultimately a lot of that is going to average out over time. It just sucks when, it doesn't happen.
The problem is Jesus either is hurt, coming back from being hurt, trying to play his way back from injury, or is Nketiah, which feels like he can really only bully the shittier teams. Like he's probably not scoring a hat trick against PSG in the Champions League, is he?
Yeah. He strikes me as a guy that would be a very serviceable option at like a Nottingham Forest or a Brentford. There's a lot of teams that he would like work well in, and I think he's very good. And who knows? Hopefully he proves me wrong.
But like if Brentford are conceivably going to sell Ivan Toney to one of the top 6 clubs in the next few weeks, like I could see Nketiah going to Brentford to replace him in the summer.
Like, it would make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? I think that would make a ton of sense. I don't know. I wonder whether Ivan Toney would actually be a very helpful player for Arsenal. Would you want him at United?
Yeah.
I guess you guys need more bodies than we do.
He's really good. He scores lots of goals. He can do hold-up play. He's physical. He's fast. He can score like pretty insane goals. But
do you think that do you think he could do build? The one thing that I worry with him is, could he do build up? You know what I mean? Like, is he going to be a fun passing partner for Bruno or Odegaard or, whoever's team we're talking about?
He's not Mr. Chance creation with the pass, but I feel like he can participate in build up in the way that a forward normally is expected to. From the memories that are flashing across my brain right now, I think he's capable. He's not, but like how Jesus is almost more of a false 9 type of.
Yeah, he's not that.
He's not that, but he can score goals, which I have heard is crucial.
I've heard that's a good thing to do.
Missing a forward. So then who do you want? What is the Arsenal sphere talking about? The Arseverse?
I
Who,
mean, if we
who are
had
they longing for?
snagged Victor, is his name pronounced Osimhen?
Ozyman, I think.
Ozyman. If buying him 2 years ago would have been a good idea. I don't know. I
No,
think anyone that I know that would actually sort of step in and immediately be better than like Nketiah and Jesus is like either they don't exist or we can't afford them. But I do think like we probably need something that isn't a false nine. You know what I mean? Just to have another thing to throw at players.
I mean, really, like, Nketiah is a striker. He's just not a great striker.
Yeah,
Because great
we need
strikers
something
feel
great.
rare right now. It feels like young kids are growing up allergic to scoring goals because it sounds like gluten. I don't know.
Papa Vangs, Arsene Wenger talks about that quite a bit. How he
Well, like
thinks
how
that
there
like,
are trends in positional like density.
well, partially like that, but he thinks there are less good strikers than there used to be because he thinks striker is a position that you learn to be good at by playing street ball, and like one way or the other, you learn to sort of like I don't know, basically through graft win up there. And like there's a lot of, like if you go through some sort of French academy, you're going to learn the technical skills on how to like pass well in a midfield. Like there's just so many people who can do that now. Like way more than it's crazy to watch football from 20, 30 years ago and it's like what are they doing? Whereas the one thing that like you can't mechanize it or like sort of industrialize the process as much as like what are you gonna do with this forward that's gonna make him just want the ball more in the air? Like you think about like how can you can't coach that poaching instinct quite as easily. It just has to sort of come. I don't know. It's the way the game has changed. There's every country has their version of it, but like it's probably not on the travel soccer teams that you're meeting a guy. Like that wasn't where Clint Dempsey was coming up, right? Like
Right.
he's probably our best striker that we've had.
Do we think though that this trend, if it continues, will that change the way that the game is played? I mean, you
I mean, it does feel like there's never been as many false nines as there are now. Like it used to be such a wild card tactic that people were like, "Ooh, false nine!" Like, and now it's almost just the standard way of doing business for a lot of elite teams. Like because it's like, well, all right, let's just create an extra 5 chances a game and hope that our 5'3" Brazilian manages to like sock one away.
or that the wingers are being asked, like how
Yeah,
Salah isn't a striker, but he's always doing the striker's
right.
share of scoring,
More so than Firmino ever did, certainly.
and more so than that Darwin Nunez, who, I mean, he couldn't hit on someone at a bar, much less
Whew.
score a goal. I don't know if that worked.
No, I think it worked. I think he landed that one quite nicely.
He couldn't.
Speaking of
He
the
couldn't
team that
score
Darwin
100.
Nunez.
Fuck. He couldn't score 100 on his SATs.
Oh,
Nice, because that's what you get for putting your name in, right?
that's Darwin Nunez, just
More like
sizzling right now.
Darwin Awards Nunez.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. If people started nicknaming him awards, because he does score, he does do some stupid stuff.
He doesn't, no, but he seems so, like it's so confusing when you have someone so full of talent, and then you think I as a fan could make better sort of instinctive choices when it comes to scoring goals. Like it's kind of crazy. He's kind of a freak of nature in that way that he's so good, but yet so.
But even like the ones that he
clumsy.
doesn't score, where you're like that is like technically speaking a good finish. You wrapped your foot around it. It's curling like very, it's like I'm not even just the build up to it, but the actual shot is incredible, but it
But
did
it's
not
at the,
count as a goal.
or it's at the keeper's chest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or at the corner of the post or whatever. He loves a post.
But it's Darwin, as much as everyone loves to always say, but I think we'll come good. I think we'll come good though. I think
Yeah,
I think we'll be good.
I
But
did.
like, that shows you what 100 million wasn't it like he 100 million pounds or like
Yeah.
if it wasn't 100 million, it was something up there like a 70, 80, 90. That's what
Out
that
of
buys you is like
Portugal?
yeah,
Which
he's from
team?
Portugal. But
Yeah.
like that's what that buys you. Someone who like is so unpolished that you need to say, I think he'll come good. And same
For
with
a
Rasmus
hundred
Højlund.
million.
Rasmus
Yeah.
Højlund at what was he, 70 million pounds, something like that? Like He just scored. He scored his first goal, by the way, in that Aston Villa win. We kind of skipped past it, but like Garnacho brace Hoyland with the winner. He's got one goal in the Premier League in like 15 appearances. That's what 70 million pounds gets you. Is maybe if we cook him in the oven a little bit more, he'll be ready later.
Yeah, wild times.
But you bringing up Ozyman, Napoli paid like 100 and something million for him like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So like, if you want to buy him, he's gonna cost more than Rice cost. So like, do you know where Arsenal's like FFP budget slack
I
is?
don't
Like,
think we have a ton of it right now, to be honest, because I know that they structured the Raya deal at goalkeeper to basically give us an extra year to pay them 20 million. So I think things are sort of tight. I mean, I would love for that to change over the course of this spring. You know, if we could go a little deeper in the Champions League than we have in years past, that would go a long way. I think even just like a round in rather than losing immediately in the knockout phases, which is our typical thing to do. Um, like you start stacking up $40 million checks. I hear that is good finance.
do do you think that you're getting a lot of money from selling youth players, like players we're not discussing? Is that something that's happening? Or I know you was it Reese Nelson? What the hell's
Reese is still around. We re-signed him for some reason, and then we just made him rot on the bench.
Well, it's either him or one of those other sort of peripheral midfield players that you're putting up for sale.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be up for sale. There's like a young guy Patino that's going to be up for sale. I mean, in years past, we sold what's his name up to Newcastle. Not Reese, the other one that I always got them confused. Anyway, I think there's a little bit of that, and we've gotten like we sold Oxlade-Chamberlain for decent money. We sold Iwobi for decent money, so I think we've gotten better with the sales. But who knows? I mean, Ramsdale is probably going to be sold, but I don't like. There's debate whether it'll happen in January because I think we still need a second goalkeeper, unfortunately.
The internet sparked over Reese Nelson putting his £3 million his London mansion up for sale. So
Yeah,
like, that's the whole like he's ready to move to another club somewhere.
fair enough. I don't know why he didn't do that last year. It was like a contract year, and he had an amazing little like cameo performance in Arsenal. Like they must have really sold him on the vision this year, and I
He
don't.
was a youth player, so like
Yeah,
I'm sure there's like a romance to like wanting to not only make your debut for your club at the senior level, but like play
make
for
an
them,
impact.
like
Yeah,
be like an official part of it.
yeah. And I mean, to be fair, he's been good whenever like I think in terms of goals and assists per minute, he was leading Arsenal last year because he didn't have the minutes. But
Then why doesn't he get them?
well, and especially when you look at Saka, who we just keep constantly asking him to play 90 minutes, and like the way that he plays, where he's getting kicked and kicked and kicked, it's like maybe a couple games of Reese would buy us a couple years of Saka, which I think is a pretty good, transaction.
Wait, explain that to me. Why is it turning into
No,
Saka?
I mean, like if we were to play Reese more often now to give Saka more rest here and there,
I see. You're saying
then we could
he
elongate
stays
his
in his
career
career,
theoretically years.
assuming he stays at Arsenal and doesn't go to PSG.
Yeah, we don't want his Real Madrid days to be cut short. Come on. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, you wanted to make some sort of a point with. Oh wait, did we just skip Liverpool Sunday?
Oh no. Well, that's who Arsenal have on the horizon this week. I believe an FA Cup match. But
Oh, I see. That would explain it because you've also played them semi recently. Because that is the next.
yeah. Which will be interesting because I mean, we played them at Anfield and we got the draw, and I thought that was a pretty decent result for us because we also seem to suck ass at Anfield, and Liverpool seem to be coming on right at the perfect time this season. And so I was okay with that. It'll be interesting to see them play then. And then, unfortunately, Arsenal are going to be wearing their all white kits. Have you seen these before?
I have not.
It's part of an anti knife violence campaign that Arsenal have where it's called No More Red, and it's literally white on white on white, the kit. We've only worn them once before, and we got knocked out by a then championship level Nottingham Forest in the cup. And I have to say, they're ugly and stupid, and I hate them, and they're cursed, and they ought to know that they're cursed. And the fact that I have to tell them that I have to be brought on as head of football cursing operations is crazy.
I think it's funny that they have to do an anti-knife violence campaign, and I think, didn't I see someone get robbed in a McDonald's in Brixton at knife point in London? Yeah.
Dude, probably. Dude, this is kind of scary. The park that I go to almost every day, there was like a little 16-year-old boy that got stabbed to death there on New Year's Eve. And I didn't find this out until like I came back after I was out of town for a couple days around New Year's. And then I went down there to go do like my workout. And it's a weird park because a lot of parks in London, they can like shut the gates. And like there's a certain time of day where they're like, no more people. But this one is Primrose Hill. They do not. And they had these makeshift gates up, and there were police in huge like police lines, like every couple feet walking, looking for evidence. I don't know. Looks pretty fucking gnarly. What's that?
Were there any cops on horseback? I was just hopeful that there were.
No, although we usually get quite a few cops on horseback in London. I just received, speaking of police operations, I just received a verbal warning the other day in that same park because for like the last like 20 yards out of the park, I started riding my bike, and then another police officer who was also on a bike saw me, and then I immediately cowered like a coward where I saw him, and I started getting off my bike like, and then he stopped me and gave me a verbal warning, and I felt like a dumbass.
Did he laugh at you as well?
He should have, because it was clear that I was like exactly like the little boy at school who was been caught like stealing something out of a cookie jar, probably cookies. And like he was just like, oh, like the way that I was kind of like getting off my bike as soon as I saw him, like as like just admitting to him basically that I knew it was wrong and shouldn't be doing it. Goodness.
I was trying to imagine what like ridiculously not bad sounding thing you would have gotten a verbal warning for. Like you ate your crumpet with the wrong end. Like something where it's like you
That's
just
Vegemite, not Marmite.
some social faux pas.
Yeah.
All right, so are you gonna purchase one of these bloodstained jerseys? It sounds like it could be a collector's item.
Oh God, I really don't want one. They're not bloodstained though. That's the thing. They're all white, which is funny because they'd be like a great shirt to stab someone in. It would be like so Jackson Pollock-esque. Like they're the best stabbing shirts in the world.
What if it was all white and then they had it so that way either when you sweat or when it rains or any sort of water gets on it, it turns to red. Like
I kind of like that, like a Gatorade "Is it in you" thing.
But that would make it confusing if you're playing on a team and this is meant to be a uniform and you're all in various states of metamorphosis.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Playing against a red team, by the end of the game, you look just like them.
Looking back, the Rorschach test theme that we went with tonight was not good for team unity nor vision.
Messi's kit has like the face of Christ just sort of like appear in red.
And they're like, that's not even supposed to happen. We just gave him a normal shirt. What the fuck?
All right. How fucked up will you be during the AFCON and Asian Cup?
For Arsenal, it's a bit of a good news, bad news situation where the good news is it's not going to change much. And the bad news is because the few players that we have that would have been going to these tournaments are already hurt. And so Thomas Partey, he's out. And actually, weirdly, because of this, I felt like they sort of soft play. You know, like Arteta is very cagey about what he says about injuries. And it seemed like he was just sort of out with a knock for a while. And he's floating around. I was like, all right, when are we going to see him back? Is he going to be back for Christmas? And then now, because Ghana, his national team, has commented on this, basically they've said, like, no, he needed surgery. And like everybody knew that this was a longer term injury. So he's going to be out for a while, like to the point where you wonder, you know, A, if he'll be fit, and B, if he'll be in form this season. And that sort of came out because of the African Cup of Nations. And then the one guy that I think we really will miss,
Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu, because Ben White is nursing an injury. And so on that right side where we have both Ben White and Tomiyasu, and for much of the season, it was kind of a, embarrassment of riches. Uh, Now will suddenly be an embarrassment of poverty, which is not as good.
An embarrassment of poverty is worse than an embarrassment of riches? I
I would
am
say.
shocked.
Like I'd barely be like, oh no, you just caught me putting on my gold line Gucci. How embarrassed! Like versus like, oh, you you saw me drinking piss because I couldn't afford normal drinks or something. That would be like way more embarrassing.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen you drinking piss and not judged you.
Yeah, because you're like, dude, you actually could afford normal drinks. This is just something for this is a kink for you, I guess.
All right, Jeff. What is?
But wait, you didn't say so. Will you guys be heavily fucked for? You guys are similar to us. It's a lot of Europeans and South Americans, huh?
Yeah. So the main issue will be. It looks like it'll be Onana, Diallo.
Oh, that is a
I
big
think
issue.
there's one more I'm forgetting, but I don't think it's anyone important. But the thing about Onana is he's been so shit that he's afraid to go away for a few weeks, let this
Yeah.
Turkish backup play, and if the Turkish backup is more stable, he's afraid to lose his
Oh,
job. So he
interesting.
is going to play against Wigan, play against Spurs, and then fly out right after Spurs and play the first game, play a match of the AFCON the next day.
Wow.
So be playing 2 matches within 24 hours.
I kind of like the priorities there. I like the guys that like prioritize the club game, like especially for these like secondary tournaments.
Or don't go.
Yeah.
That's
That would be great.
How many players is City losing?
0. Mm.
And it's just like, oh man, like our players just happen to have these injuries that happen like just as the international break, as the international period begins. So like, I think they're just gonna need to stay here.
That's what that is what happened with like the Ghana coach was basically just completely repeating the talking points of the Arsenal medical staff. And he's like, yeah, and those guys have been so nice to give me like all this like key information that I don't even have to look for myself. And he's just going to stay in London for like this really important tournament for us, even though he's a key piece of our team. And I'm like, wow, keep drinking that fucking Arsenal medical department Kool-Aid, bud.
But also, if he is injured, for sure, like there's really nothing they can do in that case. You might as well just try and not have a PR
Sure.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, why waste a roster spot, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
Exactly. And you know my thoughts on that particular player.
Yep.
What is the next topic, Jeff? I didn't understand.
Lastly, so I just attended the play that is closing in the West End last night, Dear England. And this sounds like a SNL bit if SNL cared about the Premier League, but it's basically like a biopic of it's not a pick, but it's a biopic of Gareth Southgate essentially. And yeah, so it's a bioplay. But it was really well done. It was hilarious. Rachel went with me. She got about half the jokes and half the accents, so I think she liked it significantly less than I did. But yeah, no, I thought it was so well done. So if and when it like goes on tour or whatnot, I suggest that you see it. Yeah, it covers. It starts with his penalty. I kind of didn't know this about him, but maybe you remember. But in '96, he missed the penalty against Germany that got England knocked out in the semi or in the quarters, I think, from the World Cup against Germany. Yeah, and basically he brought in this like Australian psychologist. And
'96 World Cup? There wasn't a '96 World Cup. That would have been the Euros.
I guess that'd have been the Euros. Sorry. Yeah, because you're right. '94 was US, right? Anyway. I don't know, they talk about like he kind of brings in this sort of kinder, gentler sports psychology in order to like deal with this like, massive monkey that had been on the back of England for so long, where I think they'd never won in like a major tournament. They'd never won a penalty shootout. And they sort of broke that curse. But then it keeps going, and it shows that like, they've never really quite brought football home. So, but I don't know. I thought it was great. And if you like football and you like plays, then you'll like it.
Gun to your head, when is England bringing football home?
You know what's kind of scary? I think if they don't do it in the next 10 years, then I don't know if they ever will again. Because I think that the rest of the world is catching up, and like England doesn't have some advantage really in terms of producing homegrown talent. Ultimately, it's a very
I
small country. Like it's a small country that happens to host the best league in the world, but it's like I don't know, having like
disagree.
the 6 homegrown players on City that never touch the field, how much is that really going to fucking help you win a World Cup? Not that much. And
That's
everywhere else is getting better and better and better and better. I think that if they don't do it soon, they're never going to do it again.
Jeff, that's fair, but the money coming into the Premier League and the league table,
Mm,
and that gradually inflating everything, like that means that there's more money being spent on player development, and there's more money being spent on trying to make young gems to sell to the Premier League clubs that want them.
right.
Think of a country that's more than capable of producing more Bellinghams. I mean, they literally have produced more Bellinghams. They've got a few extras. They've got like Kirkland brand Bellingham and Job Bellingham. But like, I think that we're England historically, from my understanding, yes, had some technique, but it was a lot of like really good athletes, a lot of really good sort of like player IQ players, and like a lot of like mud in their face, diving header striker types for the longest time. And it's only been kind of post Beckham that like a lot of the younger England players are developing like more technique and like being able to mirror more like the players coming out of like your Spains, your
Yeah.
Brazils, your Argentinas, and to the point where they're now going to like your Real Madrids, and you've got Harry Kane as a striker for Bayern Munich. I feel like the profile of the best of the best of the best of English players has actually gone up.
Hmm. I don't know. I think that there's a there's always a bias towards recency. You know, like the guys that have been good lately, they seem like they must have been better, but like I mean, England was producing Ballon d'Or winner. You know, Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney, like these guys were not lightweights. It's not like they've always had some superstars. Arguably, maybe more star power than on-field power at times because the British press they don't really want to write about like Croatian midfielders that whose names they can't pronounce. They want to. There's something great about a hometown story, and so I think there are guys that maybe get a little more credit than they should in the UK, and like the expectations get built up higher than they should. But
So you
then
think
again,
British youth overhyped, and therefore they'll never
no, it's
make
like
it in
here's the thing.
tournament?
There's great British players right now. There are, the Bellinghams and the Sakas and the Kane, as you mentioned. Although I think he's kind of going to be washed up pretty soon. I've been saying that for a while. um, I don't know. There are really great players that come up, but I think ultimately, you like this is a nation. They're like what the size of. Uh, I don't know. They're like between Uruguay and Portugal in size. So, like in terms of like population and whatnot, like deep down, they're
But
supposed to compete with Germany and Brazil and Argentina for how long? France,
but
you know?
financially, I feel like the UK, like more, the money is what's allowing younger players to be identified at younger ages and
Yeah.
given top tier coaching, and like their lives change because of how much money is involved. I think it's just gonna make like the potential more fully realized. There's probably a lot of great players over the years that have fallen through the cracks, especially in nations where there's not a lot of money spent, or there isn't money to really to mirror just the amount that's spent in the Premier League specifically is like, I just think it's its own gravitational pull. I think
Yeah.
it will raise
There's
the level.
probably some truth to that too. But maybe that just means that they become a team that becomes a sort of quarterfinal level team that ought to be more of a group stage team.
Wow, man, who are our fans of this podcast? It's going to be Americans that watch Premier League but don't have feelings about England.
Come at me, bro. Come at me, England fans. No.
And they're also like a liberal-leaning conscience about like sexual assault and domestic abuse.
We're pretty niche. We're
Yeah.
pretty niche. Yeah.
We're basically the Portlandia like women's bookstore. Like that's
Yeah.
us podcast.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. I don't know how we didn't come to that earlier, but that's exactly us.
One of us is Fred Armisen in drag, and one of us is just Carrie Brownstein staring a hole through someone's head.
I will leave you with one hilarious thought, not as hilarious as Portlandia, but Harry Maguire. So all of like the team, like the England team, not all of them, but like the key players kind of are like characters in the show, and Harry Maguire is like a key character because he's sort of Southgate's boy.
Wait,
and
in the play?
Yeah.
Well,
And like
it's very contemporary, like the reference.
Oh yeah. Like it goes all the way through the most recent World Cup, which is kind of wild. But they like
this will not be touring to America at all.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe not to America. Maybe I think like there might be a little bit of a market now, but they like basically everyone in it is kind of doing an impersonation the whole time, but like it's like not quite all like hamming it up. But both Harry Maguire and Harry Kane, they have just these hilarious just like dumb or like responding to things 5 seconds too late and stuff like that. Like when they're talking, like, no good word, but like they were just for that alone. I think you would get a kick out of it.
So Jeff, at the end of this month, I can go to a theater in Santa Monica no one's ever heard of and watch the play as a movie.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know they were going to do that. I wonder. It was also like if you're into that kind of stuff, the stagecraft of it was really neat, or like not stagecraft, probably the wrong word, like the set and whatnot, where because it's basically just like this giant like digital screen and projectors everywhere, and so like when you're in Russia, they're like projecting that up on the background, and then like they're like they use it as a scoreboard at times, and like it's very like the only thing in the set is each player has a locker that they like push in sometimes.
Is there ever someone kicking a ball with a foot?
Yeah, a little bit. Although most of the time they're kicking an imaginary ball.
Oh, see, I don't know what the right answer is, but somehow that one disappointed me. I'm like, you can't do air soccer.
They have the sound effects guy must have been working hard though, because like he would be like getting it just right when all the little people are touching it.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I guess I'd give it a chance. You told me to do it. Oh, real quick before
if it's gonna be a movie though, just wait and give it a chance. Then fuck going to Santa Monica. Before
you go, what are you watching, bitch?
What am I watching? Ooh, what am I? I'm watching The Bear. I'm watching The Bear. I like that. I think yeah, I'm in season.
The latest season.
Maybe not. Then maybe I'm in season 1 still.
I can't talk about it without ruining it for you, so I guess we'll never know.
What are you watching?
I cannot wait every week for the newest episode of Amazon's Reacher.
Really?
It's dad TV at its finest. It's basically
what like a good little capitalist you are.
Well, it's S-class dad TV. Each episode has like action movie level action sequences.
Wow.
But it's also like witty banter and like figuring it out who done it type stuff. It scratches a lot of itches.
Huh.
It's better than the Tom Cruise movie that predated it.
Wow. I might have to give that a shot.
Give it a go. Shall I play that funky music, white boy?
Play the funky music. And if you're in London, come see the Non-Recyclables next week.
You have to
January 11th. We'll be at No Horse Down. Come check it out. Come see my Instagram at Vitkin, and you can get tickets for free. Free takes.
You know what they say about the non-recyclables?
They're not recyclable.
They're trash.
Oh.
Meet the suckers. Meet the suckers. A sucker podcast that probably won't last. Meet the suckers. Meet the suckers. Schuyler and Jeff don't know how to rhyme. Meet the suckers and chat shit today.